Welcome to our channel, Real Story Animated. Today we will talk about the story of the struggle of my grandfather Yosef. If this is your first time watching the channel, do not forget to like and subscribe. My name is Abdullah. My age is 24 years old now. Today I will tell you the life story of my grandfather Yosef. He is the father of my father. 66 years ago, Yosef was 10 years old. His mother was dead. He lived with his brother and his father's wife. His father's wife did not love him and she hurt him. One day, my grandfather Yosef dropped some money when he was going to buy some foods for the house. His father's wife said to Yosef, "I will tell your father that you dropped the money." Yosef was afraid. He went to the roof and hid. When his father returned from work, his wife told him, "Yosef dropped the money that you left for food and he hiding in the roof of the house." Yosef's father went up to the roof, and while he was called his son Yosef, Yosef went quickly to the wooden ladder, but he fell from a height of 20 meters, and they took Yosef to the hospital. He had some operations to make his back hunchback. When he returned from the hospital, he could not move. His father's wife refused to take care of him. His brother began to take care of Yosef and put food for him and carried him to the bathroom. Child 10 years old. After it was good health, he must bear the inability to move. All this because he is afraid of his father. We must not teach our children to fear us. Yosef continued for 2 years cannot move. My grandfather Yosef did not go to school. After he began to move, he went to work in the chair trade and then became a professional at work. Then he traveled abroad and traded in the chairs. After 8 years, Yosef returned to his own country. He decided to marry his cousin's daughter. Her name was Susan, but she was mentally ill in epilepsy and needs some of care. My grandfather Yosef knew this. He said to Susan, "Mother, if I did not marry her, no one will marry her. I will marry her and take care of her and our children in the future." This was a very brave decision. Was my grandfather Yosef an angel? Is there a man in this time to do something like this? I think not, but I hope there are men like my grandfather Yosef. After 20 years, my grandmother Susan gave birth to 9 children during 20 years, 2 males and 7 females. But my grandfather Yosef was unable to pay attention to children and working hours. That's why 4 children died because of the disease and the high temperature. 1 male and 3 females died. My grandfather Yosef used to make food, change the nappy for the children, bathe for them, take care of his wife, and work all his life without stopping or complaint. My grandfather was compassionate with his child like a mother. He was tender like a father. It was the father and mother at the same time, and he loves them and loves his sick wife. After 12 years, Yosef's wife Susan died. She was 54 years old. I really do not remember my grandmother Susan because I was young when she died. I was 3 years and 5 months old. My grandfather refused to marry another woman after his wife died, even though she was sick with a disease in her mind. Yosef did not marry another woman so he can try to love with a woman in good health. All this because he was living with a bad father's wife. He was afraid to marry a woman that maybe hurt his children. What happened to him since childhood, he never forgets. During the next 21 years, all his 5 children have married and have children. He had 14 grandchildren. I was the oldest of the grandchildren. I ate a lot of my grandfather's food. I can tell you that he was skilled in cooking. My grandfather was happy because he was able to achieve success and his children married and lived a good time with his grandchildren. In the last days of his life, my grandfather Yosef was transferred to the hospital. My grandfather was diagnosed with prostate cancer. My grandfather was detained for treatment at the hospital, but my grandfather felt he would die soon. I was waiting for the morning with my grandfather in the hospital and he said he did not want to die in the hospital. He decided to escape from the hospital. I called my father and told him, "My grandfather does not want to stay in the hospital." My father told me to let your grandfather go where he wants. He is not a child. My grandfather went to our house and we take care of them. A few weeks later, my grandfather Yosef died in 2016. He was 73 years old. Tell me what you think about this story, and if you have a good story, leave it in the comments. Thank you for watching.